the long-awaited superhero film, action horror movie, family-friendly fantasy, and much more. Hello friends, welcome to my channel, and today I've got some interesting new movies that have been released on streaming. But before we get started, over 90% of the channel's viewers watch the issues without a subscription, which is really demotivating. But it's up to you. If you like my videos, feel free to click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Make yourself comfortable, warm yourself up with some delicious tea, and have a great time watching this video. Amsterdam. This film is inspired by the true story of the 1933 political conspiracy. From this point the story begins, then goes back to 1918 and finally moves again to 1933. During this flashback we see the beginnings of friendship and relationships between the characters. Amsterdam is the story of a lifelong friendship that begins in the named city during the First World War. Two of the friends are romantically linked, and the third is simply a kindred spirit to both. More than a decade later, the friendship between Bert and Harold is stronger than ever, while Valerie has almost disappeared from their lives. One day, they are called by Liz Meekins, daughter of their combat mentor General Bill Meekins. She is asking the duo to investigate the suspicious death of her father. She believes it was a murder, and everything becomes even more complicated when Liz herself is involved in a car accident and dies. Amsterdam is a movie that fools expectations. It starts out as eccentric and funny and then turns into a serious political drama about the post-Great War world and the strength of a group of friends staying loyal to each other. Plus, it's quite a fascinating look at a period of history. I recommend it to all fans of historical films, detectives, and mystery investigations. Black Adam. The long-awaited superhero movie has finally arrived in digital release. According to the plot, during the pursuit of archaeologists by an international criminal organization, while trying to seize an ancient artifact, the explorers succeed in reading the spell left in the cave and bring back to life the Black Adam, worshipped as the protector of their country. Let's be honest, this film adds almost nothing new to the superhero movie genre. DC still has a long way to reach Marvel's level, but at least they are taking the right steps. For DC, Black Adam greatly expands the cinematic universe, and in a quality way, which is something they really need right now. Slumberland. Nemo is a young girl who lives with her father in the lighthouse, where he tells her stories of his exciting adventures with his outlaw partner Flip. But misfortune comes. Nemo's father dies at sea while rescuing a ship in distress, and the girl ends up in the care of Uncle Philip, who is lonely and doesn't know how to be a parent. In her dreams of a peaceful life in her father's lighthouse, Nemo encounters a giant satyr, who actually turns out to be the same Flip from her father's stories. Flip shares with Nemo that there is a map of Slumberland, the land of dreams where all people's dreams reside, and that this map shows the location of magical pearls that can grant any wish. Using the map, Nemo embarks on an adventure in hopes of being reunited with her father. A classic and kindly treasure hunting adventure story in which Nemo and Flip use her deceased father's map to travel through various dreams in hopes of finding the pearls. The movie has interesting and enjoyable visuals, which is important for family movies, and overall, Slumberland is a pretty good fairy tale movie to watch together. Watcher. What would you do if a stranger follows you around the place you have just moved to, and your pleas for help to the local police and your partner remain unheard? According to the plot of this thriller, after getting a promotion, Francis moves to Bucharest with his wife Julia. While her husband is away at work, the young lady is left to herself, and very soon she finds anxiety and fear in her life. She begins to suspect that the stranger watching her from the apartment across the street may be the local serial killer. Obviously, Watcher plays with a familiar concept. However, what makes this film stand out is that it is well shot, visually elegant, and keeps the suspense very well. The director wisely makes the best use of every opportunity to connect the viewer with the character. Watching her plunge into isolation, we find ourselves in isolation with her, and because of this, her fears are accepted despite her husband's skepticism. Spirited. Apple TV Plus has introduced a new musical version of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, about a miserly misanthrope who embarks on a magical journey through memories. The twist of this version is that the narrative is not told from the perspective of Ebenezer Scrooge, but from the perspective of ghosts, and this time Ryan Reynolds himself will force the ghost of Christmas, Will Ferrell, to rethink his own existence. Perhaps this version is exactly what many viewers have been wanting for a long time. The film is quite funny, witty, charming, and instantly uplifting. It begins as a children's film, but don't let yourself be fooled. There are also a couple of dirty jokes and famous witty humor by Reynolds. Also, the film has a message that matches the original story, but I will note that this is not just a remake. There are some unexpected twists with unusual plot choices. Triangle of Sadness. The plot centers on Ajay and Carl, novice and silly models who are constantly fighting over nonsense, like who pays for dinner at a restaurant, who flirts with whom on a luxury cruise, and who should eat more food after they get tossed onto an island after a shipwreck. The characters struggle with each other, endure bad weather and food poisoning, but as it seems, it's all about finding out who is the most ridiculous. The picture is directed by Swedish director Ruben Östlund, who is famous for the surreal humor of his films. He's building expectations and then destroying them with unexpected twists to elicit the funniest reaction possible. Östlund is not afraid of harsh humor to reach his point of view. That's the kind of content you should expect in this seemingly typical film about a disaster at sea. Project Wolf Hunting. under the guise of transporting extradited extremely dangerous criminals to the port of Busan, should be delivered the secret cargo, whose transportation security is ensured by the elite special forces. The criminals make an escape attempt, which turns out to be extremely bloody, but the real horror is just beginning. After all, while freeing themselves, they accidentally free the biological experiment, the very same secret cargo, who escapes in the turmoil. From this point on, the bloody chaos reaches the next level. A monstrous creature that was once human rips people apart with its bare hands and leaves no one on the ship with any mercy. This film is not for the faint of heart. To say the least, the R rating seems even low. The narrative is not the most intense, but the theme of violence and survival keeps you in suspense for most of its time. The Wonder. This story centers on Libri, an English nurse who is sent to a remote part of Ireland to look after an 11-year-old girl who, according to her family, hasn't eaten in 4 months and eats manna. Or does she not? Lib has to watch the girl for 8 hours a shift with a local nun. Chilean director Sebastian Lelio brings Emma Donohue's novel of the same name to the cinema. The pace of the film is deliberately slow to convey the harsh passage of time in 1860s Ireland. The film immerses the viewer in reflections on morality and religion, with the differing perspectives of the girl's parents, the doctor, the priest, and of course, the nurse herself. Nasibo. According to the plot, Christine, a promising fashion designer, is disturbed by horrible visions after tragic events. They interfere with her work and life, but suddenly a Filipino healer appears at her home in the heart of London and starts nursing Christine in extraordinary ways, which alarms Christine's husband Felix. Diana has energy and determination, but her motives and plans are mysterious. Is she a charlatan using Christine to her own interests? Or is she a real healer who wants to help? The plot is not too complicated, with elements of horror and a rather obvious twist at the end. The acting and production are good, quite an enjoyable and intriguing thriller. It will especially appeal to those who enjoy any opportunity to see Eva Green and Mark Strong on screen. The Guardians of the Galaxy special probably can be easily named the end of the 4th phase of the MCU. It was perhaps the cringiest phase of the cinematic universe. Guardians gives some holiday cheer, with warm humor and good sadness, everything as James Gunn's project should be. According to the synopsis, the Guardians go to Earth to find the perfect Christmas present for Quill. I should mention that the CGI in the film is far from the top quality, but it's nicely balanced out by Gunn's directing. The special is more reminiscent of his film Super and the Peacemaker series than it is of a typical Marvel sitcom. It's been a long time since we've had one, and that's a very good thing. Broker. Sang Hyun, a laundry owner, and his friend Dong Soo volunteer at a church with a baby box, which they use for their illegal adoption black market business of delivering babies to rich families. One day So Young, who left her baby in the baby box the day before, comes to them. She finds out the truth about their schemes, but decides to join them to find a best family for her baby. The characters embark on a journey to the baby's future family, while they are pursued by 2 detectives who have long sought to cover up an illegal and immoral business. Broker is a new film directed by Hirokazu Korida, a touching art house social drama. The film itself primarily seeks to open a discussion about children's rights. Using several points of view of its characters, the script presents the moral dilemma of such a bargain. Send an orphan to a wealthy family or leave him in an orphanage. I recommend it to fans of strong, thought-provoking dramatic stories. On the Line. According to synopsis, Seo Jun's wife loses all of their savings as a victim of a phone scam, but Seo Jun can't accept it, and being a former police officer, he doesn't see any problem in solving the case, finding the criminals and punishing them. To do this, he infiltrates an organization in China to find the head of the phishing system, and to get his revenge. On the Line aims to highlight the most pressing issue of digital crime around the world. The film has all the hallmarks of a quality Korean thriller. Technically, it looks and sounds exactly like something of the genre should. See How They Run. At the party celebrating the 100th performance of Agatha Christie's play The Mousetrap, the director of the planned film version is murdered. The case is investigated by the experienced Inspector Stoppard and the young, inexperienced Constable Stalker. The idea of the movie is great. Take cliches from classic literary investigations and apply them to the investigation the main characters are conducting. The best part is that it works, despite the fact that See How They Run is very leisurely in its pace. The crime mystery is good, but there's nothing more than just to keep the viewer interested and curious. The chemistry between Ronan and Rockwell is what makes the movie amazing. Also, the humor in the film is enjoyable, it's clever and quite subtle. Smile. Rose Cotter works in the psychiatric department and tries to help broken people. One day she encounters an unusual patient. The girl witnesses the suicide of a teacher. At the moment she is in a hysterical state, she claims that everyone around her is looking at her with a smile, as if they are up to something bad. Then, with a terrifying grin, she slits her own neck with a shard of vase, and from that point on Rose herself begins to see fearfully smiling people. I should note that the film is really capable of giving you an unsettling feeling after watching it. It's dark and mysterious, but it's based on the simple idea that when someone else's trauma is transmitted to you, it can easily consume you. For fans of the horror genre, it's a good premiere. It's scary enough, there are a few cliches, and the ending is unpredictable. Satan's Slaves, Communion. Like the original film, the second movie doesn't concentrate much on the plot, instead providing you with a real ride of scary moments and ghosts. According to the synopsis, a family moves into a house built on a cemetery where cursed people have been buried since ancient times. This place contains hidden gates to hell, and something terrible is starting to happen in the house. And in order to escape, the family will have to solve the mystery of the place. The movie is creepy, occasionally terrifying, tense, disturbing, and scary. The extremely low amount of CGI and green screening deserves special respect. And of course, it's always better to watch the first movie released in 2017 as well. And that's all for today. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, feel free to share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and click the buttons below the player. And see you in the next issue.